My last question, I guess it's not so much a question as it is a point that I'd like to highlight, is that when we were receiving points from Chesterton, a couple of them were linked to the educators having the PLC time that they need for common formative assessments and collaboration of lesson planning, tier 1 lesson creation, and things like that. And so I just wanted to point that out, that PLC time is a part of the success of student academic growth at that school. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and move on to to our next LCAP goal presentation, which takes us to slide number 36, LCAP goal number 2, access to a broad and challenging curriculum.
Thank you, Vice President Beiser. We're going to begin with a presentation for Quality School in Every Neighborhood and an example of a school that is achieving this goal about access to a broad and challenging curriculum. We have Principal Carmen Garcia from San Diego High, and she'll be featuring the School of International Studies and narrate for us how this school is achieving this goal.
Thank you and good morning to everyone. I am Carmen Garcia, proudly representing San Diego High School. San Diego High School has 3 schools on its campus: the School of International Studies, the School of Science and Technology, and the School of Business and Leadership. I'd like to begin by sharing my moral compass and my core beliefs as a 19-year educator, is that I believe that all students can rise to the level of our expectation, and that all means all, and we should never ever look at students through the deficit perspective. If we did, I wouldn't be presenting before you. As a former English learner, still English learner, once an English learner, always an English learner. As an immigrant, as someone growing up very, very poor in North County, we are able to rise above our differences and our obstacles with the support of our amazing teachers and amazing schools. And so that's what I hope to provide to all of our students. So with respect to broad and challenging curriculum, if we can advance to the 3rd slide, Cheryl, please. Oh, thank you, Cindy. When I was first charged with representing the 3 schools on campus, I knew that we needed to look at San Diego High School through the lens of access and equity. Toward that end, it is a pretty large aircraft carrier. I knew that I couldn't do it alone, and I needed a robust team of educators, a robust team of teachers, and other experts on campus to drive our school reform efforts. And so we created an instructional leadership team, and in front of you, during the break, I was able to provide one of the pages from Elmore's instructional core, and it is my professional belief that if we're able to implement what Elmore tells us about public education and what works, it's this triangle. The instructional core basically puts students at the top, supported by teachers and content. So our instructional leadership team, comprised of 25 members, capacity builders, department heads, other teachers elected by their own peers, we meet once a month, and we've been doing this for about 1.5 years. And we first began by creating a very strong definition of what academic rigor looks like. And this, you have the framework in front of you. You know, often in education we talk about rigor. We need rigor in our classrooms, and we rarely define that. And so we knew that we had an opportunity to define what that meant at San Diego High School. And so this framework in front of you clearly defines what we are aiming to do, and it's to create purposeful and relevant learning that honors student voices and encourages them to tackle challenging work by providing supports that foster intellectual curiosity and perseverance in a culture of achievement. So once we define what rigor looks like at San Diego High School, then we had a theory on our hands, and we created 5 variables, or attached 5 variables based on what the research tells us. And the first variable focused on rigorous curriculum, and as an ILT, we defined what rigorous curriculum looks like, and I won't read the bullets to you. We also further defined what teacher behaviors look like. If we were to go into any classroom, you know, what would we expect to see from our teachers? We also defined student behaviors, we defined assessments, and we also defined instructional materials. So with respect to curriculum, we using Ainsworth's rigorous curriculum design as another guiding light, we were able to implement what his strategies focused on, which were to focus on the standards and to identify prioritized standards. And toward that end, we created a unit template with assessments, pre and post assessments, that vertically aligned. So if at San Diego High School, for example, we want our students to take IB courses as the pillar of the courses, or AP courses. So if we begin with the end in mind, we were then able to vertically align. So what do ninth grade teachers need to do to support the students so that they're able to access that rigor at the 11th and 12th grade? At 10th grade, teachers need to do to be able to help their students access the rigor at 11th and 12th grade. 11th and 12th grade, so on and so forth. And because we have 3 schools on campus, we then focused on horizontally aligning our curriculum. So if I'm a teacher or a student at the School of Business and Leadership, I'm exposing my students to the same level of rigor and access as if I were a student or a teacher at International Studies or SciTech. So for the past 2 years, our ILT has been meeting once a month off-site to really vision what we want for our students on campus. And then we return with that information, because every Tuesday, speaking about PLC time, we have department meetings at least twice a month after school, so that our departments can then continue to vertically and horizontally align their curriculum. So in addition to that, we also provide common prep for English, math, history, and science teachers across the board, across the schools. And for next year's master schedule, I like to be ambitious, and I've already promised to my teachers that we will be able to provide a common prep for the rest of the departments. No small feat, but it's certainly, you know, a puzzle that we understand we need to crack in order to provide the time, embedded time for our teachers. And in addition to that, we provide pull-out days so that teachers can create their curriculum, really solid curriculum with embedded assessments. And if a pull-out day, many of my teachers do not like to miss class, then we are able to provide some time on Saturdays. So whatever, you know, whatever our teachers need, we're able to accommodate within our financial means.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia, for giving a great example about how we actually can achieve this goal that is central to our LCAP access to a broad and challenging curriculum, and the way you synthesized specific things that are replicable for other schools to do. You're leading the way, and we appreciate you being able to bring voice to how it actually gets done.
Thank you.
In real
Can I
time at a
just one
school.
more thing? We also have collegial walkthroughs that our teachers conduct once a month. And we initially created a template of what a collegial walkthrough template could look like. But then we heard from our teachers that they wanted to be able to amend the template, and we obviously allowed that because the teachers felt that, you know, the initial template that we came up with was a bit too confined. And so then the various departments came up with their various templates of what they're hoping to look for in the classrooms. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Are those walkthroughs between schools
Yes.
or inter-school?
Between and
Great.
intra.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll give Russ the clicker if you want to pass that down.
And that's the same for your horizontal. It's within school and across schools.
Absolutely. Yes.
Now we're going to focus on 2 specific areas that we will be implementing to access broad and challenging curriculum next year. First, we'll have Russ Sperling talk about our visual and performing arts, and after that, we'll have Genevieve Clark speak about our makerspace movement and how learning by doing is how we will provide access to broad and challenging. But let's begin with VAPA.
Thank you, Superintendent Martin. And is this on? I guess it is. And board, it's great to be back at the LCAP workshop. We have gotten a lot done in the last year. With your help, we passed, or you passed, I should say, the Strategic Arts Education Plan. And next year will represent the 2nd year of implementation of that plan. So we're very excited about what we're going to be able to do. And we're well on the way of achieving our vision of transforming lives through the arts. And we do that, of course, with the help of VAPA crusaders like Carmen here at our schools. So we have some guiding principles in our strategic plan, which was, of course, assembled by the community and by staff, that all students have equitable access to arts education, and we find strength in diversity. And so following those principles, all of our elementary schools next year will continue to receive elementary instrumental music, which we're very happy to announce with your support. We'll be moving towards the full grade level
Could
program.
you repeat that one more time?
Next year, we will continue to provide elementary instrumental music to all of the elementary schools in the district. So that was the reason that's a big deal is because that was not necessarily going to be able to be the case, but with some additional funding that will come in next month, we're going to be able to add some positions that will enable us to get there. So we're moving in the direction of providing the full grade level program at our elementary schools, and we will do that in as many schools as we possibly can, given the staffing that we will have next year. And the remainder of the schools will receive something that we haven't yet named, but along the lines of what we currently call exploratory, but Mark Nicholson, the instrumental specialist who's here with us back there, and I met with faculty yesterday to talk about how do we deliver a better in-depth experience for students if it's not on the full grade level program. What can we do an hour a week for all students? So we're very excited. The faculty's very excited. It was a very positive meeting, and we're looking forward to moving forward with that. So the full grade level program is a model where 3 teachers push into a school, and all 4th graders, all 5th graders, an hour a week, choose between band, orchestra, and choir. And choir, frankly, in the district is something that we want to boost, and I know we're going to help boost choir by doing this. So we're very excited about that. We have 5 goal areas in our strategic plan, and in each one of these areas there's action items that we've been addressing. And so let me just talk about some of the things that we have going for next year. We're going to continue funding musical instrument purchases, which is important because we have a gap as far as the need. As we build programs, we have more and more students who are interested in taking music. The new music library that we've been gearing up at the IMC will open, and our teachers will have access to the central area of curriculum for our students. We'll be developing a new arts education foundation. I've been working with various community leaders and arts organization folks on making sure that we can get more resources into the district so we can enhance the artistic experience for all of our students in the district. We're very excited about that. In curriculum, we're going to continue to define and implement visual and performing arts pathways. We know with AB 1012, with repeatability, it has sort of caused us to make sure that we're looking at writing courses that scaffold up and that we can see a definite pathway in each of the 4 arts disciplines, K through 12. And it's been very exciting to do this work alongside our teachers, and knowing that we have an expectation that if a student takes a visual performing arts all the way through, that they're going to be prepared for all kinds of opportunities that await them after they graduate. Much as a student will take math all their career, and we have certain expectations around what they're going to be able to do with math, we have the same expectation for the arts. Certain careers and opportunities will avail to them because they have a different habit of mind and knowledge and skills that they've learned in the visual and performing arts that's very valuable in a creative economy that we have. So we're going to continue to align our courses to the National Core Arts Standards. We'll continue to provide PLC release time for elementary teachers while we push in visiting teachers. We'll continue to be working on that. And we are going to be working on 5th grade visits to Balboa Park through the Heritage Project, which is extremely exciting. Those numbers are going through the roof as that program gets situated. Thank you to Linda Golke for all her work on getting that set. Continue on with professional development. We are going to continue, thanks to support of Jim Solo, with some in-service days. You know, we often have teachers that are sort of the only one on campus that teaches what they teach. So it's super important that we're able to bring them together as a district in one place so they can have that PLC time with each other, and they can get that high-level training from experts. We also have in our schools the Learn to the Arts program, that we will continue in one shape or another with the model of the co-teaching, the teaching artist and the classroom teacher in arts integration, and knowing that that is what brings curriculum alive for students. And you're going to hear later from Julie Martell and Maria Nichols about the district's 4 specialty pathways, 4 curriculum area pathways. Visual Performing Arts is one of those 4, and we've been working with our magnet school principals in VAPA, and in fact we've added next year Sequoia Elementary as a new VAPA school, and we're very excited about strengthening that pathway. At some, we want to make sure that, again, that sequence exists, that it makes sense as students move through the system, that the end goal is there, that we know what we're working for in VAPA. Our principal at SCPA, Tim Farson, has been working on ACPAS accreditation, which is the National Arts Schools accreditation process, which makes sure that we're in alignment with what the expectation is for arts schools, and then building that all the way back to kindergarten in our magnet schools, so we have that sequence. Super exciting work. And we have to do that in the context of our community. And we know that advocates like the gal in the front row there, who we have a picture of on the screen, and we recognized at our high school honor concert this year, we work with our community members because we know that to do arts education well, we have so many arts organizations in town that our students can get experiences from, and so we've been developing those relationships. And we've been making sure that there are representatives on each school site, our VAPA liaisons, that have awareness of those opportunities. And so we've been bringing those 2 groups together. And we're also working on making sure that our department has a positive branding, and that the community is aware that the arts are alive and well in San Diego Unified School District. So, and alongside that, we have a new VAP Advisory Council that will continue to meet and advise us on the implementation of the plan. So we are really reaching out and listening to the needs of the community. So that's the exciting future of the
World of
visual
VAPA.
performing arts. Yes.
Thank you. And we'll have Ms. Clark come up here and present Learning by Doing, and how our approach to broad and challenging curriculum is centered on making our curriculum relevant. And the most important work ahead of us is specifically what she'll be outlining right now.
Let's see. Are we on? We're on. We're still on? Okay. Okay. So to reinforce what you're saying, reiterate what Russ is saying as well, one thing that we know about ensuring that students experience a broad and challenging curriculum is that the curriculum must be both meaningful and relevant. So during the 17-18 school year, we will expand our focus on learning by doing, because making the curriculum relevant for our students is the absolute most important work ahead of us at this point. So let's see. Okay. So some exciting stuff. So middle school makerspaces are going to open in many schools, middle schools, this September 2017. 8 middle schools specifically: Dana, PB Middle, Stanley, Challenger, Correa, Knox, De Portola, and Marston volunteered to be test pilots of our design and implementation process. We intend to create makerspaces at all middle schools, and are in the process of working with sites to identify our next cohort. We're also proud to offer, we're proud to offer this year, 2,300 middle school students work-based learning experiences. These experiences are principally designed to strengthen ties to industry pathways in engineering, information and communication technologies, and life science. After the success of our work-based learning experiences at Qualcomm and Raytheon and SeaWorld this year, we're expanding our program to include the USS Midway, which will host our students in 2017-18. And the Midway experience is designed to expose students to the next generation science standards through a simulated damage control scenario. We're also continuing our partnership with Kids Eco Club and Intellectual Capital to host the STEAM Leadership Series, which will allow our students to hear amazing speakers connected to the STEAM industry sector. We just completed the last in the 16-17 series, which was focused on the blue economy and was hosted by the Maritime Alliance. We're also expanding our partnership with the San Diego Chamber of Commerce and the San Diego Workforce Partnership to ensure that middle school students and their families have the opportunity to experience a STEM resource fair and career day in their local neighborhood school. The pilot was at Roosevelt Middle School in May, and we're currently working to identify schools for 17-18. So, and as I mentioned in Goal 1, we'll be offering a project-based learning institute this summer at Sarah High School to support the development of interdisciplinary team teaching and curriculum development that ensures that students are learning by doing. And this is the very first time that we're offering a hybrid model designed to enhance vertical planning between grades 6 through 12. Lastly, we're excited to launch the new E2E, which stands for Employment to Education Lab at Kearney High. This is a partnership between the University of San Diego and San Diego Unified School District as part of the USD Education Corridor work in the Linda Vista community. The lab will act as makerspace, interactive classroom, teacher learning center, business roundtable, business industry incubator for work-based learning experiences, and more. Booz Allen Hamilton has stepped up to be the lead business partner representing the cybersecurity sector, and they will be working with Kearney High School in 17-18. And this model is one that we hope to replicate in other clusters during the next few years, as the ultimate goal of the partnership is to support learning by doing in grades PK through 12. And that's it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you very much, Genevieve. That's the completion of our
That's
presentation.
LCAP goal number
That's it.
2. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and go to public speakers, and let's begin, and the podium's up there. Let's begin with Anne Marie Haney and then Amy Redding.
I guess it's too late to hide out. So in reviewing these very important documents, the theme to me is about life readiness across the board, whatever your needs may be as a student or an adult. So first I do have to say that I'm relieved to know that all of the schools will be served with a music teacher. Thank you so much for making that happen. I'd like to talk about the uniqueness of the performing arts. If you've been on a stage, whether you're singing or dancing, I even had that opportunity, and I'll tell you, you get out there and start moving around and you produce a lot of adrenaline. Even in a group, if you're part of an ensemble and on measure 35, your clarinet might squeak and the whole group is affected. You get a lot of adrenaline from that. Young people do take risks, much more so than as we mature, ideally. And I have to tell you that you're really taking a risk when you go into the performing arts. Every time you're on display, first for your peers in your school, that may be the hardest transition of all, but then you go beyond that to a greater audience. And you observe the students who have had this exposure from a young age, and by the time they get to Symphony Hall and perform, their poise is extraordinary as they stand backstage and wait for their chance to come out on stage and perform. But you have to know that their hearts are pounding, knowing that everyone is counting on them. So I want to emphasize the value of having these students have this kind of a risk-taking experience as compared to what is available to them outside of the school environment. And I don't have to tell you what they are, but it includes, of course, bad choices. And all through our lives, the best thing we can do is make good choices all the way along the line. So maybe they are influenced to make good choices. Especially, I'd like to use the example of the Mira Mesa High School band, because the students in that band have been all over. They've been to the World Olympics even. As a representative of San Diego, they don't want to disappoint their teacher, number one. They respect her and honor her. Their peers are influencing each other to make good choices. They learn to collaborate. And I have to diverge and say that I have 2 children in the corporate world who've been there for over 50 years since college. And the lack of collaboration has been so severe on the part of some workers that our daughter told me this morning that she has had to fire engineers, one from MIT. He could not do anything that wasn't his idea, and he was so destructive they had to leave him out of discussions. And our son is in another biotech field. Is that my beeper? Is that a beeper?
Yeah, that's 3 minutes.
Oh, who said that? Oh, God. Okay, well, down the line, in addition to the very important aspect of being able to collaborate, as you all do, you are the perfect example, all of you, of collaboration. And I have to say that I wish that my children had more exposure to the people in this room and those of you at the schools. They'd have a different perspective on our human experience, I have to tell you. And I'm very fortunate that you let me in on it. I want to talk about peer support that they have so they don't have to look outside, even if they have no support at home. Those students in those performing groups have each other and count on each other. The self-discipline, the band that came to play at the school board last week came in private cars. They didn't have a bus. The parents brought them, and they assembled outside, and you wouldn't have known they were there. There were 60 students. And then when their director came, said, we're going to assemble over here, they assembled, and then we didn't even know they were there until they started to perform. The self-discipline and the cooperation were certainly worthy of note. We all know that at the SCPA Performing Arts Magnet, attendance and graduation rates always are at the top of the district. Why? Because those students want to be there, and they're passionate about what they're doing. So we care about that. We care about college opportunities for students. I can go on, obviously. We have school.
Thank you.
School, am I through?
Yeah, it's been about 5 minutes.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, that's okay. But we
Okay,
love listening to you, Anne Marie.
Oh, you're too sweet. Well, I just wanted to say something on the fact that the academies are channeling students into pathways that exclude the arts. And it's happening a lot.
We'll be visiting about that in a moment.
I'll count on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy Redding and Bill Oswald and Miriam Ali. I guess we need to give them 5 minutes too if they so desire.
I would take that for goal number 4. So for goal number 2.
I'll remember that.
Thank you. So Amy Redding, Kearney Neighborhood Schools. Kearney needs we need to have elementary schools included in the partnerships that are already in our feeder pattern. Please increase site-based funds. They are crucial to the implementation of needed programs that serve the nuances of each of the schools. And this is a cluster that has 13 schools in it. Kearney High School would like to participate in the LOGO program as a continuity of service for students arriving from Montgomery. More video resources of quality instruction by teachers and cognitive engagement by students on the Relay webpage. Need more VAPA support to bolster the A in STEAM for all our sites, but particularly our new STEAM sites. Pay for all AP tests, more LOTE exams. And as far as what Kearney Neighborhood Schools thinks is working, please continue the outstanding work on student-centered master schedules. I can't stress that enough. And we're glad to see the technology replacement call out for 4th and 5th grade devices, goal 2.4. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Oswald.
I don't need any extra minutes. Hopefully I'll be done real quick. I just want to ask the board to want to emphasize in goal 2 for us, the issue really relates to the availability and the potential for our SIFE students, the students again with interrupted formal education. Our primary concern with these students are ones who come in middle school or higher. In the community I work in, you can see the kids who come in kindergarten, 1st grade, 3rd grade generally make it through. It's the kids that come in middle and high school. And so I would like to just ask the board, when they're looking at this, to refer particularly to goals 6 and 7 in the SIFE report from the PSRO. and which calls you to really look at the newcomers toolkit that was provided to us by the U.S. Department of Education, and we were told that was the framework the district is using. So we'd like to emphasize that, particularly finding ways to integrate the students' language and culture into the learning. That's one of the things emphasized throughout the entire workbook, is that students need the opportunity to learn and discuss ideas in their own language. And so again, that requires bringing in people from the outside. So.
Thank you, sir. Miriam Ali.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Marian Ali. I'm a parent of Grover and Man Middle School and Marshall Elementary School. Saying like the challenging what you guys talk about, and we want you to respect and the child language and the cultural, like what Bill Oswald was saying. As a parent, we feel like, you know, the district are doing the same things over and over again. We want you to move on, and please help us and engage the parent and respect the child who never been into school. How you challenge? I don't know how you're gonna challenge when they don't know what challenging is mean. The parent and the child are the same things. So please, we want you to help us and work with our community organizer who knows our better than some the district staff are doing. So we don't wanna continue the same stuff as we always talk about parent engagement. Nobody engage us. We don't know anything, what's going on in the school. When our community organizer call us and say, okay, today we have this meeting, we know as a parent, we all, you know, pack up the rooms. So please work with us. We are ready to work with you. Help us learn our children succeed in their education lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Board members, questions, comments?
Guess I'm first. in
Dr.
line.
McQuarrie,
Thank you.
you're first this time.
A couple of items, just as in the last review, it talked about areas that were most panels and presenters were in agreement and included, as well as those that were somewhat missing. On this one as well, what I hear that's common is the importance of vertical and horizontal articulation. At San Diego High School, we see strength coming from efforts by teachers, staff within schools and between schools in order to make sure that the programs are well developed, well skilled, well connected. My question is, are we doing something similar within our clusters, within our schools, within the clusters, and between clusters? Are we making an effort as well to coordinate and articulate and identify best practices and share those? So I'm wondering, what are we doing that's similar to what San Diego High was doing within clusters and between clusters?
So I can address it from a project-based learning aspect and interdisciplinary team teaching, because that's kind of the work that comes out of my office specifically. Instructionally, I believe that that's probably a Wendy Rinkberg question and also a Tabka question, so I guess we can reserve it for their section. For interdisciplinary team teaching, really it's grade level collaboration, right, and presenting the curriculum through the lens of industry, both in a vertical manner and then also in a horizontal manner. So grade level team teachers at one site would be getting together and discussing how do we do that and how do we most elegantly collaborate to get that out to kids so that it is relevant for them. Vertically, it happens at the Project-Based Learning Institute, where teachers are paid for 10 days. And this is the first year, like you heard me mention, that they're going to have grades 6 through 12 in the same sphere. And they are going to go through a series of simulated experiences, both aboard the Midway and then back at Sarah High School as well, surrounding concepts like design thinking and project-based learning concepts. So. And then I would say too, just the last thing is that we have a rubric now that is new this year that we're going to use in grades 6 through 12 for those projects. So it'll be the same rubric, which is amazing. And this summer will be the first year that they're talking about how to gather anchor work, student work, to demonstrate mastery at all grade levels. And so conversations will continue about what does grade level appropriate mastery look like at grade 6, grade 7, all the way through 12.
Thank you. What I didn't hear, and I know we don't have time to discuss everything, I didn't hear an emphasis or discussion about, in terms of preparing people for life, as Anne Marie mentioned, that's really what school is all about. Let me focus on activities dealing with financial literacy, as well as civics learning. And we know that, for example, within the area of music, if we want to have a strong high school program, we need to have strong programs K through 8, and then build that. I think similarly with financial literacy, I'm not sure where that's going to fit in. I know we have a partnership with
Junior achievement.
yeah, junior achievement, which is a 5th grade program as well as 10th grade. We have all students
yep.
participating.
Finance Park.
Something similar to that. So just want to.
And that's where they do get access to financial literacy is through that. But Genevieve wasn't featuring everything that they're doing.
Yeah. So I would say financial literacy is an aspect or a project within a larger sphere of life readiness, right? So you're going to hear a lot more about it when we present on Goal 4 for the comprehensive school counseling and guidance plan, because what we're going to find is a lot of those life readiness skills will be embedded within a K-12 comprehensive school counseling and guidance plan. So.
And we may hear something similar in that same goal on civics learning.
Yes,
as we
it
develop,
is embedded in the life readiness goal.
Thank you.
Dr. Whitehurst-Payne?
Thank you. We have to leave, so that's why you get to go last this time. Bottom line, I want to commend Russ on the arts program, the music. I'm interested in this foundation, of course. Want to know more about it and so forth. And I know you don't have time, but you can share with me one-on-one what's going on with that. Because it's a discussion that we've had about that. So I'm glad to hear that it's come to fruition and we can move forward with that. The point that I really want to make about your presentation, Genevieve, my colleague here noted that most of the schools, the 8 schools are north of 8. Knox is south of 8, so I acknowledge that. But I'm more concerned about the K-8 schools. What's happening at them? Like we have Bethune, we have Audubon, we have, I think it's Fulton. Freeze is no one. Logan, what's happening at them for the middle school children who may have a very small middle school and the staffing formula may not be there to support this kind of thing. So
are you speaking directly in reference to the middle school maker spaces that we're developing? So our approach for who we selected, we didn't actually select. We took everybody that said they wanted to do it. So we reached out to everybody, to all middle schools. We put the ask out to everybody. And it was those middle schools that responded and said, yes, we're interested in being part of this pilot that we started from. So the outreach went out in several different spheres, both in a direct ask in the secondary informal, and then also in the secondary operations meetings, and then through email. So the ask was out several times, and these were the schools that said, yes, we're ready to pilot. We're willing to take that first initial launch with you.
And I'll add to that in terms of a theory of action that wasn't just decided by the secondary office. It's an overall theory of action for any initiative that we do in the district. When I talk about our work needs to be sustainable, scalable, replicable, when we begin new work, it is a voluntary choice in. We actually know that you can't ultimately complete the promise of equity and access across a large system if it's only choice in permanently. But when you begin something, before you start to scale it, you work at schools that have the preconditions for the program to be successful. Because when you pilot something, if you just top down and just mandate it on everybody and say, here, everyone do this, we're saying to do it, We actually know that doesn't work. You can't mandate what matters. It's not scalable, it's not sustainable, it's not replicable. So sustainability happens through you come up with an idea that's aligned to our LCAP goals to say, we'd like to put something into place. Let's see, where do we have preconditions? Where do we have schools that are ready to start this? These are the schools that choiced in the beginning, but ultimately delivering on equity and access. We expand if it's working and it's getting the results. Then the next year, a few more schools choice in, and then some are invited in, and then ultimately, if it's working, all will be in because it's been a proven strategy. But when you see year one of an initiative, like she's just described, that's not uncommon. That's how we do almost every new initiative happens this way because we're not top down mandating things upon schools, but we're building support based on the vision that the board sets.
Dr. Evans?
Yeah, I appreciate Ms. Haney's remarks about the performing arts and the benefit to students. I've seen other schools, they have a Toastmasters program, which does something similar. A lot of sports teams, the Chavista service clubs, the leadership program that they have at Hickman. All of these are really great examples of that. On the visual and performing arts, we talk, first of all, in the district, we talk a lot about literacy across the curriculum, so that in high school, middle school, whatever level you're at, that whether it's math or science, whatever, that there can be a focus on literacy. And first of all, I mean, I think it's great that we're including the music, instrumental music programs, all the schools that are, feeding into the high school programs. I think it's great that we are able to incorporate the music programs sometimes with the prep time for the teachers, so it's a sort of a good, efficient use of resources. But I'm also wondering about but still we can still tend to look at music and performing arts as another silo. And I'm looking at what can we do to have music across the curriculum. And obviously an example is in elementary school, the teachers have a credential to teach all subjects. They don't just say, well, I like reading, but I don't like math or whatever. And similarly for PE and music, I mean, they have a responsibility for all of the things. And we're certainly talking about instrumental programs in elementary schools to feed into high schools. But how do we incorporate music across the entire curriculum? And certainly music provides balance to other academic disciplines, but there's a lot of research. What's been done is in terms of incorporating music together at the exact same time as you're teaching other subject matters. And that really depends on all of the general education teachers really having a music preparation maybe that they haven't gotten, and so that they can actually instill that in their kindergarten and first grade classes, or really at any level. So I know it's a very broad, ambitious thing, and we have to start where you are starting, but I just want to get your comments on that.
Well, we happen to have a national model in the district that we have come to at the end of 2 years. It's been Title I funded, called Learning Through the Arts. And it's the model where the teaching artist co-teaches alongside the general classroom teacher. It's been in 22 schools. We're just starting to see some of the data that has come out of that. But that's arts integration in all 4 of the arts disciplines, so dance, music, theater, visual art. And we want to continue to do that kind of work with teaching artists because, you said our elementary teachers have the credential to teach everything, but whether or not they have the knowledge and skills to be able to do that is the question, right? So we've been accessing the artists in our community to assist us with that project. So we have gotten a good start on it. We feel like we know what's working, and we'd like to leverage that in as many places as we can.
Okay, good.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to really appreciate the work that you guys are doing to help improve student outcomes. What I'd like to just briefly talk about is access to curriculum and the reason why San Diego Unified took the very bold initiative to become an A through G high school diploma school district. And it goes back to the time when there were some schools where students did not have access to enough of the curriculum. Even if you had a 4.0 GPA and you took all the right classes, at the end of your 4 years at some of our past high schools, you still would not have the coursework to go to college. And we changed that. And so I think that underlines how important this is and why this is now a statewide focus, that we have access, all children have access to the curriculum they need to be successful if they choose to go to college. And to that end, I especially want to thank San Diego High School for all the work that they're doing, not just for the IB program, but for all of the school programs there. Specifically, I'd like to call out the value of common prep periods. Basically, all of the social studies teachers that teach the same course can have a common prep period. And the thing that's phenomenal about this is then, we try to carve out PLC time for educators twice a month, 1 hour. But when you have common prep times in the secondary grades, they have an hour every day, where it's not necessarily directed, but a funny thing is going to happen if all of our secondary schools work to achieve common prep. Something's going to happen. Those teachers are going to start wandering into each other's classrooms and talking about the curriculum, talking about the common formative assessments, talking about the common practice and homework projects, talking about common activities where students can learn by doing in the classroom. And so I can't underscore how important that is. And since that was highlighted as one of the examples of something that's working and helping schools to succeed and achieve better Tier 1 outcomes, to what extent is that occurring district-wide?
I was telling the area superintendents, be sure to listen because I could see where you were going, that is the work that we're doing with our instructional team, looking at master schedule expectations. We have 13 equity expectations and principals owning the master schedule and leading that work alongside their area superintendents. And, it's the mandate it versus support people to do it and what works. And you've just shared a perspective that we have examples and evidence of when that happens, how we increase equity and access and professionals being able to work together. But it's a matter of school teams working with the area superintendents around their expectations.
Right. So I guess the board was just presented with what's working. And this is one of the things that was highlighted as something that's really making a difference for the students, the common prep periods. So then where's the data? Okay, so if this is being held up as a best practice, then how many schools are able to make this happen in their master schedule, and what's the plan for the future? So I guess that's just the logical next step of holding up and highlighting a school and their best practices, and then giving the board data and information about, okay, so this is a best practice. So this is happening at 30% of our secondary schools. And the goal going forward is to try to encourage or help other sites figure out how to do that, to take it from 30% to 40% next year, or something to that effect.
That's
Dr. Whiters-Payne.
Some things are happening organically also, because I know at Taft Middle School, one of the special ed math teachers over there indicated that their entire department is getting on board with this notion.
The common prep.
Yes,
Yeah.
and planning together and doing all of those things. And he said that they're joining with, I don't know if it was Montgomery or one other school to
It's
kind
Montgomery.
of, you know that?
Yes.
To do some of this, okay.
Yeah.
So part of the reason why we have the Quality Schools in Every Neighborhood awards and we're lifting up best practices where it's working is so we can exactly take to scale. And Cheryl Hiblin, although she's at jury duty right now, and the area superintendents are all wanting to jump up and tell me where they are in their process with each of their schools implementing this. When you find a best practice and you see that it's working and it's evidence-based, it's a matter of how quickly do you replicate and take to scale. When some schools are more ready and willing, some less ready and willing. So there's lots of contexts that make that happen, but we highlight it for a reason because we know it's effective.
Yeah, the reason why I'm pointing it out is, as an educator, I know the value of common prep, and that we've talked about common prep last year, and we talked about common prep being a best practice the year before. So I was just wanting to, and maybe we can kind of get that data and then, provide the board with a board memo or update about not just common prep, but other best practices and where we are with those, and, not wanting to mandate everything all the time. But we do mandate some stuff. We do mandate that every school teaches math. We mandate that every school teaches literacy. And in that, access to curriculum. I'm thrilled that Russ Sperling was able to announce today that all of our elementary schools will have music next year. That's phenomenal, and I want to publicly commend and thank Superintendent Cindy Martin and Russ Sperling for all your work to support music and the arts in the schools. But I do have a couple real quick questions. So next year, all the elementary schools will have music. How are we in terms of all the middle schools?
I believe we have music at every single middle school.
Every middle school?
Every single middle school.
Okay, great. And then how are we in terms of I know that we have some specialty high schools or secondary schools, but how are we in terms of the comprehensive high schools for next year?
Next year we'll have music in all but 2 high schools.
Okay, and what are those 2 high schools?
Kearney and Claremont.
Okay. Now, Kearney is kind of like a specialty school. In a way, some people believe that. It came from several small schools and things like that. Claremont, how long has Claremont had music?
I think a long time. Longer than I've been alive, I think.
According to Mr. Beiser, 60 years.
Longer than I've been alive.
What?
That's what you told me.
I didn't say that. So Claremont High School, has Claremont High School had music there the last 10 years?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe the last 30 or 40 years?
I've been in the district, I've been in San Diego since 1991. As far as I know, it's been there since I've been in San Diego.
Okay. So why, if one of our local control accountability pieces are to have access to curriculum, why are we going from, at a comprehensive high school, why are we going from students having access to music, orchestra, and stuff, to next year no access to band or orchestra?
My understanding is that the student requests for band and orchestra were not high enough to make an allocation for the staffing.
Okay, and do you think that the band teacher can have an impact on building a program at a school?
Absolutely, I did it in my career. I started with 33 and ended with well over 100.
Okay, and is the band teacher at Claremont High School going to, did that individual retire?
Yes.
So there's opportunity to offer the students to have access to band and orchestra at Claremont High School, given the opportunity to have a new teacher there. Is that correct?
So we have a plan to meet with the community to discuss this soon, and to figure out the best way to build band and orchestra back at the school.
Okay. So you're working on making sure that the students at Claremont High School will have access to music next year?
Of some sort, yes.
You're in the process of meeting with the
Yes,
stakeholders and the students and trying to figure out how do we honor LCAP goal number 2 there?
Right.
Okay,
we're
good.
setting up a meeting with Russ and Dr. Frere and students at Marston that are in 8th grade coming to Claremont so we
Okay.
can better understand what their needs are as we work to rebuild the program. And that
Okay.
meeting's being set up as we speak.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, we are at 12 o'clock. Let's go ahead and take our 30-minute meal period. We're going to continue. We're going to go out of numerical order to accommodate family and community members who need to go pick up their children after school. And so we're going to go ahead and address LCAP goal number 5, then 4, then 3. So let's go ahead and begin with LCAP goal number 5, family and community engagement with highly regarded neighborhood schools. Superintendent Martin?
Thank you, Vice President Bizer, for clarifying why we're going out of order. It's not that we can't count. It's about scheduling. So we're going to start, as we did with the previous two presentations this morning, beginning with one of our CUSIN schools, Quality School in Every Neighborhood, and we'd like to feature Rosa Parks and have Rosa Parks Principal Veronica Lopez Mendez talk to us about what's been working at her school in terms of family and community engagement and being a highly regarded neighborhood school. And with that, we'll have the principal share.
Thank you so much for the invitation and for the honor of representing the work at Rosa Parks Elementary. My name is Veronica Lopez Mendez, and I sit here in front of you to share really the journey and the story and the work that everybody does behind the scenes. And I just get the honor of representing that work. So as many of you know, Rosa Parks sits in the heart of City Heights. We serve this year 1,078 students, preschool through 5th grade. We have a robust preschool program and have been really lucky last few years to be able to retain the majority of our preschoolers that come to us. They keep staying with us. So already currently for the following school year, our kindergarten numbers are a little higher than our projections, which is exciting because we'll be able to serve more families. At Rosa Parks, we are of the belief that part of our job is to make college possible, and that we want to ensure that every child has the first step education so that they can be highly successful and they go on. And that we cannot do without our families and our parents really working with us as partners. One very interesting fact about Rosa Parks that I know you're all aware of is that we have the largest amount of English learners in the district. We have 720 English learners this school year. And on average, our kindergarten classes are about 85 to 88% of those children arrive to us as English language learners. And over the past 2 or 3 years, the school has really also grown in the amount of languages that we serve. We're now up to about 7 or 8 languages, which used to just be Spanish, Vietnamese, English that we served, and now we have a more linguistically diverse population. We have the benefit of also having a community-based clinic on our campus, which really serves as the medical home for many of our children. We're able to collaborate with our community-based clinic and ensure that kids get the medical needs that their medical needs met, not only quickly, but also in a collaborative approach with the school site, and families feel so supported by that. We have a full-time school nurse and a full-time counselor that also really contribute positively to how parents are able to access supports for their students on the school campus. I guess the first part of the school year, between September and December, we logged over 3,700 hours of volunteer hours through parents participating actively in their children's educational experience, and that's really exciting. We have an ELAC that has over 30 participants that attend regularly, and they really are the voice for our school community, and they bring such passion, and they also bring a lot of knowledge around what their children need to be able to accomplish to get reclassified before they leave elementary school. They're very proud of that. This year we're going to be reclassifying about 32% of our kids in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, which is a big increase from last year. Last year we reclassified about 25%. So we're very excited to be able to share that success with the school community. Thank you for the reminder to click. So what does meaningful parent engagement mean to us? I think the biggest thing is that we are quick to respond to the family's needs. This year, as you know, the political climate within our nation has been one that has caused a lot of stress in the family unit. So we were really quick to respond to that, to bring resources into the family community, to educate teachers, and to really do the wrap your arms around the child approach to make sure that families get the information that they needed, immigration forms that they needed, access to lawyers through our community-based, our community law project that's on our campus. We also have everything from domestic violence workshops to extracurricular on-campus free activities for children. Preschool, kindergarten, and 1st grade kiddos have the opportunity to participate in a health and wellness club that's ran all by parent volunteers on the campus. The only thing that the school does is facilitate some snacks, because those are always important, and space, and obviously the support of the school to make that happen. The other thing that I think really sets Rosa Parks apart in terms of parental engagement is the school's drive to build parent leadership. We're not really just about having volunteers on our campus. We want to grow those parents to be leaders. Just last week, we had our parent patrol who really, with the support of our community service officer, facilitates kids getting onto campus and off campus quickly and safely. They were honored by Georgetta Gomez's office for their contribution to City Heights. And we also had a group of parents who received a recognition from City Council for their after-school health and wellness club that they run for the children. And they average about 50 little ones a day. And on Fridays, if you want to come in Zumba, it starts at 2:05. That's what they do on Friday after school. Providing resources and information for families about the American educational system has been a very pivotal piece for Rosa Parks, and it's been long-standing. It's critical that parents know that college is a doable thing for their children and that they understand that the school system is there to support them, not just academically, but that we're going to help you. We're going to help you gain access to financial aid. We're going to teach your children how to navigate the application process, and we're going to start that work in preschool by getting you involved, by having you understand what some of the foundations need to be before you get up into the secondary level. Ongoing communication and awareness of academic achievement has probably been the most pivotal thing that I've contributed to since I started there 2 years ago. Every piece of academic achievement data that I put in front of staff, I put in front of parents. And I share that piece with them because this is their school. Rosa Parks is their community school, and our job is to make sure that the kids are achieving academically. And so they need to know how to inform us. They need to know how to provide us input on what we need to do better for their kids. And parents feel very empowered by that. Having a linguistically relevant instructional model has also really proven not only to meet the needs of the linguistic needs of the children, but also the cultural and connection to family that our parents thrive for. And I think it's one of the reasons so many of our parents stay at Rosa Parks. We have a robust biliteracy program. We have about 60% of our kids that participate in that program, and they do very well academically as well. We try to leverage as many of our community resources as possible. We've been working really closely with FACE this school year through the student-centered coaching cycles. We work with the Office of Language Acquisition. They've supported us with curriculum and instructional needs within our biliteracy program. And we just grab onto whoever's willing to come onto our campus and support us with the vision of academic achievement for all kids. That's been the other really critical piece, is that everybody who comes onto the campus, who supports children, who has a program on the campus, who helps adults, who help and is my thought partner, are all in it with the understanding that the number one goal is academic achievement for the children. So in terms of items, that the question is, how did we achieve this goal and how might others replicate our success? I was trying to encapsulate some things that are not only doable, but I think really all of our families need in every school community. And the first one was just a dedicated space for parent rooms, a dedicated space where parents can come together, congregate, hold meetings, hold subcommittees of ELAC or sub-plan for the reclassification ceremony. The other thing we did 2 years ago was establish a dedicated childcare room, and that made it so much easier for our kiddos to want to actually stay with the childcare workers, and they enjoy being there. They don't want to leave. They call it the playroom, and it does. It's a beautiful little playroom. I should have put a picture up, I'm sorry, but you can come and visit it anytime you'd like. The other thing that I think schools like us do and would recommend for others to do always is highlight and value language and culture. It's everything that we do at Rosa Parks is through the lens of valuing what the kids are bringing to the table when they arrive at our school, with the ultimate goal being for them to not only maintain their home language, but also to learn English and master the skills that they need through ensuring that they get reclassified by the time they leave 5th grade. Using parents as our partners, as I shared, we use our parents for everything. They are my pulse. They are, I told them this after I finished my first year at Rosa Parks. I said to them, without you, I could never have done this job, because I felt so supported by what they told me they wanted for their kids. And I said, okay, we can deliver on that. We want excellence for your children. This is what we can do to get us there. We provide consistently communications about the goals and student outcomes, as I shared previously. And then I try on a regular basis to gather parent input on 2 guiding questions. What are some of the things that are going well at Rosa Parks that we should continue to do? And what are some of the things at Rosa Parks that we should work on? And parents are always really honest about the pieces that they see we should work on. And some of them are outside my control, like safety, walking to and from school. They often want me to look at transportation systems within City Heights. And so they're always wanting to really look not just at the school community, but beyond. And I can honor that, and I can facilitate people from City Council coming onto the campus. But that's a little snippet into what we do at Rosa Parks to engage our parents and our families. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. It's great to hear all of the ways that you're doing meaningful engagement of your parents in your community. So with that, we're going to have Stan Anjan talk about meaningful engagement and participation as one way that we'll be achieving Goal 5, continue to deepen the work that he started this year and forecast what it will look like next year. And after that, we'll have a discussion about district pathways as another way to reach Goal 5. But we'll begin with meaningful family and community engagement.
Thank you so much. Again, I'm excited to be here to speak about the family community engagement work that we launched this year, but more importantly, what we forecast for next year and the great ways that we are going to be expanding the supports for our schools and communities to better leverage our parents as partners in the work that we lead. As we're all aware, we launched this year with 4 equity levers that were grounded in belief statements that essentially drove the work for our family community engagement team. And that work has transformed our work into varying ways that we not only support families, but schools, as well as ensure that community partners are engaged in supporting the dynamic ways to accelerate student achievement. So, as we move forward in the upcoming year, our department will be focused in 3 main areas. The first is family and community engagements, instructional alignment, training, and supports for schools. So meaningfully engaging parents with the lens of instruction as the core. The second is the community engagement aspect of partnerships and programs that, again, enhance our school communities. And the third, services, resources, and supports for our families. That 3-tiered system will help evolve the work for family and community engagement next year. As we look at these 3 tiers, the first question that comes to my mind is, what does that actually mean for the FACE team? Well, that means that the focus around family and community engagement, instructional alignment, training, and supports for schools will grow its work with SDEA's home visit pilot project that we launched this year. Look at our parent surveys that went district-wide as a data point to help our schools develop and build out strong school-based family action plans. Ensure that our sites are provided training for support of staff, as well as provide supports and resources for our principals. And ensure that we continue to lead the work on a family approach to student-centered coaching cycles. So I'm going to go a little more in depth into some of this. This year, we launched our student-centered coaching cycles, and it has been a strong and effective way to not only build our school communities inside, but outside as well. And what I mean by that is that the family community engagement team spent hours looking at the student-centered coaching cycle, aligning it with the U.S. Department's dual capacity family and community engagement model, and the National Equity Project's transformational community framework to develop a 4-stage approach in which our family and community engagement resource teachers helped build the capacity of those school sites in engaging parents in a meaningful and valuable way of supporting their child within the 6-week coaching cycles. Within one 6-week coaching cycle, our resource teachers spent hours with our classroom teachers ensuring that they engaged their parents by informing them of what their students' goals were, helping them develop and build out strategies that were aligned to the work that students were doing in the classroom and that teachers were helping develop skills in our students. and bringing together the large number of families that were being impacted by these cycles to come to what we call a family action team meeting. That meeting is the engagement process of ensuring that the larger community knows that they are part of and valued in the process of learning and teaching a child, and that they are committed to also working to build the strategies that are happening in our classrooms, in the home, and outside of a school day. With the 1 6-week cycle in which our teachers were helping support our students, those 300 parents were using strategies to help support their children. This work will continue next year as a year-long project and infrastructure to ensure that it is not only our family and community engagement resource teachers that are providing the parental engagement opportunities for our school communities, but rather that our school communities are building the varying skills that they need to have in order to ensure that parents are meaningfully engaged all of the time, and that it is happening with relevant and important instructional work that is needed for their children to accelerate and hit their goals that they set with their classroom teachers. It's a really exciting opportunity to build out and also collect information and data on the engagement of our parents and what power they have in also accelerating our students' growth during this time. So our next piece of work here is around the SDA Family and Community Engagement Home Visit Pilot Project that we launched this year. This year we essentially went into partnership with SDEA, provided training for our staff, and provided some support for the schools that were already identified, which only included 3. During the last 4 months, we have been working not only with supporting those school sites, but also aligning ourselves to identify schools that were very interested in also taking on this work. So moving into the next year, we've identified 10 new school sites that will be trained to engage in the home visit pilot project and look to not only continue the current school sites, but also train our 3 internal departments and their resource teachers to also have the skill sets to be able to push out our home visit work so that we are building, again, a larger network of supports and systems in the school district. This year we launched with the school parent survey as well, and that work will continue again next year. With over 107,000 surveys that were pushed out across the entire district. It was the largest survey that was facilitated this year through the Healthy Kids Survey. To date, we have received 32,654 parent surveys. That is the largest number of parent survey returns that West Ed has seen within one school district. And we're excited to have hit as a district the threshold number of 25%, which is the average roughly. We've exceeded that by almost just over 30%. So that's really exciting. This parent survey for the school district went out in 26 languages and will again next year with 59 questions available to parents. And we will be looking to refine the survey next year with West Ed's assistance in providing the survey in a more detailed approach to identifying where the areas of growth are and providing questions to better identify how we can better support our school communities, our parents, and families. So the Family Community Engagement team will also be pushing out training for staff around family community training, which could include welcoming environments, how to increase the welcoming environment in our school offices and larger classrooms in communities. Family Community Engagement 101, what does it mean to be a school site that is meaningfully engaging parents and community members? And continuing that work around coaching cycles to build capacity, of course, of our school staff. Our parent leadership training will occur as well, and we will be working in the program of Parent University as well as with other programs to continue to support our parent leadership opportunities so that parents not only know that as Veronica earlier mentioned, can volunteer in our school sites, but they can also have an opportunity to lead a school and alongside our school leadership to have a shared decision-making process in our schools. This year, we also launched the high impact home strategies, and we launched with 6 this year, and we will continue to build those out. Alongside the high impact home strategies, through our coaching cycles, they're also identifying family learning strategies, which is creating a larger bank of strategies that our parents can utilize. So we hope to, at the end of next year, also create a high impact home strategy / family learning strategy booklet of varying strategies parents can use in the home to help their children build better literacy. And of course, provide training next year for our school sites around the parent survey, what that data means, and how they can help increase or grow the areas that they need to grow in. Within the second lever of work, we're focused on community engagement, partnerships, and programs. This is an area that we have started some work on and will continue to, again, grow in for the upcoming year. We will be overseeing and working closely in an integrated way to support parent leadership in the district, continue that work that we launched this year on the Equity Coalition, support the schools with district collaborations and partnerships and the district, oversee and be the primary department with the volunteer program, and continue the anti-bullying supports. And I'll go into a little bit more detail here. When we are speaking about the parent leadership support for the upcoming year, we're going to work in an integrated approach with the Office of Leadership and Learning, Office of Language Acquisition and Finance to help support in an integrated way the district advisory committees. We will be opening at the Ballard Center the district advisory office, allowing a parent leadership space for all of our chair of our district advisories, an opportunity to have executive board meetings, as well as a space for them to plan and meet, which gives them the agency to help construct and build out the stronger programming that we want to continue to build out for our students and communities. And of course, we will work closely with DAC, DLAC, and CAC. When it comes to the volunteer support, we're going to be managing and updating the district's APs and circulars and ensuring that they are not only compliant, but that we are providing our schools with the most up-to-date information on how to engage their volunteers. We'll develop the volunteer training module for our school sites so that they can have some support materials on the campuses to help ensure that parents know how they can best be utilized in our schools, and then support for our administrators dependent on site issues when it comes to volunteers. And with the anti-bullying support, we'll be managing the bullying hotline, supporting school sites with any follow-up needed, and of course, monitor the bullying data. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. And so this year we launched the Equity Coalition, and we will continue to do that work alongside our district collaborations with partners. With the Equity Coalition, we were going to take the end of year outcomes, which have been very informative around assessments and how they're perceived by our students, and be utilizing that information to drive some changes around assessment in the upcoming year. So working closely with our cabinet to take that information that was given to us by our equity ambassadors to help support and continue that work, alongside identifying and new equity ambassadors and or continuing equity ambassadors to plan and implement next year's year-long plan that we hope will continue to show that when students are at the center of the work that we lead and the voice that is the message that we want to carry out, that work is, again, being reflective in our decision-making as a district. When it comes to our district collaborations with partnerships, we're going to build strong and sustainable partnerships that we launched this year. We were able to gain about 150 partners this year in the work the Family and Community Engagement team has led. We will continue to monitor and work closely with those partners, but we hope to also gain more partners in the upcoming year. And our goal, of course, is that we double that from 150 to 300, which I'm sure we will be able to do. And then, of course, our third layer is services, resources, and supports for families. So that's broken into 2 segments, which are the resources for families through the Ballard Parent Center and the neighborhood centers we opened this year, and support for families through the Office of Youth and Family Advocacy. When it comes to resources for families through the Ballard Parent Center, we're speaking primarily around parent education and Center for International Families. And then, of course, our Office of Youth and Family Advocacy. So the team that will be comprised for our Office of Youth and Family Advocacy will include staff and team members for the Intercultural Relations team, our Special Education Ombudspersons, our Military Families Community Organizer, and our Homeless and Foster Families Community Organizer. When we look at the work that the Ballard Parent Center and the 8 neighborhood centers will continue to work on next year, our neighborhood centers will be locations for family education. So we'll be providing a family education calendar where our neighborhood centers will have ongoing parent education opportunities so that families have access to parent education on an ongoing basis. We will look at the family community engagement resource teacher. They'll continue to be the offices for our family community engagement resource teachers. When we are going into depth around what the ongoing parent learning opportunities will include, our Computers on the Go program will continue to be a driving force to educate parents on Parent Portal as well as access to technology. But we'll also be opening a community technology lab here at Ballard Center so that parents have access to computers and the community has access to computers on an ongoing basis. And that will happen at the beginning of next year. We will continue Parent University, Raising a Reader, and Project Ujima. And then our third piece that will provide supports for the Ballard Parent Center will be that the Ballard Parent Center will house the SDPTA, San Diego PTA Council Office, the District Advisory Office, the Office of Youth and Family Advocacy, the Center for the International Families, and of course the Child Care Office for the district. So we are going to be not only growing as a team, but growing in the varying supports and resources that our families can reach out to us for. And we now are going into Miss Marty Schultz and Maria Nichols.
Thank you, Stan. Second part of this presentation is focusing on our district pathways, and as they're transitioning, just recognizing what Stan just talked about and the board's desire to have meaningful family and community engagement. Just the one he started out with was having the team involved in parent education around student-centered coaching cycles, that they're very much embedded in the instructional work, which goes way beyond what we've done in the past, and to have our parents understand what teachers are learning and what goals students are having. I think that's a big shift, and I'm glad he was able to highlight that at the beginning, but everything he went over shows what it takes to integrate meaningful family and community engagement. So now the team's ready to go with part 2 of how we're addressing Goal 5. So I'll let the team begin.
Yes, as Cindy said, this is the second component of LCAP Goal 5, the section on highly regarded neighborhood schools. And as you've heard throughout the day, the district is working toward integrating and calibrating services across the system and the collective and shared responsibility among all departments and services. This work that we're about to present has involved the efforts of many departments, so the cross-district work is important, including the Office of Language Acquisition, Visual and Performing Arts, the area superintendents, the Office of Secondary Schools and Facilities. In our work towards quality schools in every neighborhood, LCAP Goal 5.5 actually includes 3 actions that are specifically related to schools to ensure that students have the opportunity to carry their elementary focus to middle and high school. And those specifically are on the screen: expansion of the Tierra Santa Elementary Spanish Dual Immersion Program from K to 1st grade, which will allow students to continue on in that pathway through Farb Middle and Sarah High School. The Magnet Grant funding for Carson and Linda Vista Elementary and Montgomery Middle to develop a STEAM focus and academic programs that are aligned to Kearney High School. and the expansion of the Language Academy and increasing dual language programs across the district.
Good afternoon. From the original 11 concepts to action that I shared just over 2 years ago, sitting in this room, there are 4 that will be the focus of this presentation. As we strive to create quality schools in every neighborhood, within each of our 16 unique clusters, pre-K through grade 12 students have the opportunity to pursue an academic pathway. In some clusters, more than they have 2 or 3 choices in terms of that pathway. In reviewing our magnet programs and working towards program continuity, pre-K through 12, we have identified 4 district pathways. We know through the analysis of our choice enrollment data, these 4 pathways attract the greatest student interest. Within these district pathways, we have identified best practice schools that serve as models for schools and for clusters. And I think that will just continue to be strengthened in the years forward. Earlier today, you heard from Dr. Garcia and from Russ Sperling talk about access, Dr. Garcia, to advanced placement and international baccalaureate programs, and Russ in terms of VAPA coursework throughout the district. And this work starts down in pre-K and works its way through, whether a cluster or through a magnet K-12 program. I'm excited to talk about the dual immersion programs in the district. When we talk about dual language immersion programs in our district, we need to note that we actually have 2 distinct district programs. And I've learned this over the last couple of years of working with the Office of Language Acquisition and my work with schools. But the school-wide pre-K through 8th grade immersion program offers, this model allows for a seamless continuity of language development. And in the most recent work, we realized in our work with the Language Academy stakeholders that the fact the school was a K-8 was almost as important as the school having the dual immersion program. The other program we have tentatively called Cluster Dual Language Strand Pathways Program. And we currently have 11 of the 16 clusters have programs started in their clusters. And we have 23 programs in these clusters that's including biliteracy programs. And when we talk about the school-wide programs, we're talking about Language Academy and Longfellow. We have hundreds of students on waiting lists for these programs. And so it's important that we find ways and we continue to work on expanding the programs. So next year, the Strand pathways will expand to middle school. In the Kearney cluster, that will be Montgomery. At Bell Middle School in the Morris cluster, and Rosa Park and Wilson and Monroe Clark in the Hoover cluster. As we look forward to the 18-19 school year, the details are being worked out to expand the Successful Language Academy program. And in terms of this expansion of the Language Academy, of the dual language strand programs, in the Claremont cluster, we're hoping in 18-19 to offer a K-5 French program at Lafayette, a TK to 5 Spanish program in the Toller Elementary School, and Horton Elementary in Lincoln, and Kimbrough Elementary in the San Diego High cluster. So a lot of these programs, you have to start planning out a year and a half in advance because, of course, we have to find the teachers with B-clads, and there's a lot of work to do around starting these programs. This time, I'd like to introduce Maria Nichols, and she'll talk about our STEM programs.
Thank you, Ms. Martell.
There we go. Thank you. I'm honored to be here to share with you the work of teachers, school leaders, community members, and partnerships in building a TK-12 STEAM pathway in the Linda Vista community of the Kearney cluster. This effort is a combination of existing sites. Of course, we have the Kearney STEAM Magnet High School, a very strong program that was lacking that articulated TK-12 pathway. So we maximized our effort with the 2016 Magnet Schools Assistance Program grant to draw in both Carson and Linda Vista Elementary and Montgomery Middle to create that horizontal and vertical alignment of STEAM teaching and learning. As we talk about the work in the coming year, which will be year 2 of our efforts to build this TK-12 pathway, I'm going to focus on 3 aspects of the work: launching opportunities for innovative teaching and learning, designing expanded spaces for learning, building on the sharing Genevieve's work in high school arena of building makerspaces, and then forging a shared identity. So beginning with this notion of launching learning opportunities, we're truly delving into what it means to build a broad and challenging curriculum across a pathway, again, a TK-12 with a focus on STEAM. We know that this offers incredible opportunity for student-centered learning with a focus on learning by doing. And we want to ensure that we begin with our elementary teachers with the realization of what all students are capable, including our youngest learners. In the coming year, we'll be working to engage teachers in the process of, first of all, deepening their understanding of STEAM, moving beyond that understanding of the acronym, disciplines, and isolation, to truly looking towards the notion of interdisciplinary learning. And then engaging teachers in the curriculum design so that they actually develop the professional capacity to continue this work well beyond the lifetime of the grant. We want to increase the amount of time that students are engaged in these interdisciplinary STEAM units, drawing in the Marzano critical concepts and, of course, opportunity for children to engage in in-depth critical thinking. With our earliest learners, we seek to root the work in children's immediate environment, teaching them to problem see in their own environment, in their community, so that right away the work becomes very real and very relevant. We want them to engage their communities in ways that teaches even our youngest learners to draw in varied perspectives and develop empathy. Our goal in this coming year will be to stand on the early work in year 1 of the grant to design 3 to 4 units per grade level. So this is opportunities for teachers to design these units, teach them, reflect on the work, and continue to build off their growing understanding. The work in year 2 will be a combination of workshop and that in-depth professional learning community, PLC work, that we know makes such a difference for our teachers. We want to then look to the middle school as a continuation of this process. Again, working with our middle school teachers to begin to develop those cross-disciplinary teams. Teachers at Montgomery are already beginning to meet in grade level interdisciplinary teams. This summer, they will actually be reorganizing classrooms so that hallways are grade level cross-disciplinary so that we can begin that facilitating that process of teachers visiting their interdisciplinary teammates, so that the curriculum they design together begins to become very real for each individual teachers. They begin to understand, as the science teacher, how does my work flow into the humanities classroom? What is the application in the mathematics classroom? And vice versa. We want to up the complexity of the work in middle school by adding a global frame to the work. again, engaging children in the process of problem seeing, problem solving with greater opportunity to use technology to reach out to the world in very real and meaningful ways and to expand their ability to empathize. Same goal as with elementary school, where hopeful teachers will build out 3 to 4 units in cross-disciplinary teams, giving us the opportunity to continue to support the interdisciplinary efforts within that unit design. As we think about building expanded learning spaces, as Genevieve shared, this is really opportunity to expand opportunities for students to learn by doing. And again, we're going to be focused on the ways that we increase the complexity of these spaces from the elementary to the middle and on into the high school. At the elementary level, we want to design a variety of maker spaces, not only what's becoming the kind of maker space where children go into to build, but also creating art spaces and instructional gardens. Adding to the realness and relevancy of learning, we want to see learning spill over from the classroom into these spaces in a continuous loop, and not so much the spaces to be used for isolated standalone opportunities. The spaces also give us increased opportunity to involve students in the beginning of design thinking and to develop those soft skills that they're going to need not only in future learning but in life, that ability to communicate, to collaborate, to persevere with a productive struggle, to develop tenacity, all of those abilities that matter no matter what path children choose in their future. As we think about these spaces in the middle schools, we want to first of all up the level of technology that's available in these spaces so that students begin to develop the specific skills they'll need in the varied industry opportunities that Kearney affords. And we want to add to the complexity of other spaces such as the gardens by adding components such as aquaponics, which engages children not just in the application and opportunity to research in the sciences, but involves them in systems thinking, using the spaces for increasingly, again, complex purposes. And then equally important to the academic work is the notion of the developing an identity within the pathway. We want our students, our families, our individual sites, but also the entirety of the pathway to become secure in their identity as STEAM. That enables us to be very focused and purposeful in the work that we do with imaging and marketing the work. What we would like to see in the coming year is our sites begin to participate in community events and also greater San Diego STEAM events such as the STEAM Maker Fest at the San Diego Fairgrounds in December, the STEAM opportunities at Petco Park in the spring. We'd like to see them engage as a pathway to make visible the many advantages of engaging in this kind of work from kindergarten or TK all the way through high school, and also begin to help parents understand what becomes possible for their students when they learn in these environments through the continuity of the pattern. With the whole idea of being focused on creating students and families who choose not just to enroll in Carson, not just to enroll in Linda Vista, but to enroll their student in a pathway as a STEAM student, being fully aware of the opportunity to develop academic readiness, industry readiness, but also world readiness through this type of articulated program. Thank you.
Thank you, team, for that presentation. That concludes the presentation for LCAP Goal 5. I lost track of that time, too.
Thank you very much for your great presentation. Let's go ahead and take public speakers. Because we have so many, we'll go ahead and give each speaker 2 minutes, starting with Chris Larson. You have 2 minutes, and then the timer will sound.
A lot of what's been presented today, I think, is really relevant and encouraging, especially for elementary schools. I suggest that the idea of parent engagement at high schools is a different kind of challenge, and I'm not sure if it's one that we are really meeting. And I think Bill Oswald talked earlier about the importance, especially in the Crawford and Hoover clusters, to connect in very meaningful ways with the community and already established community organizations that can play a role, I think, in helping not only to engage parents, but to empower them. Some of the ideas that have been suggested are using these community organizations, translation services, more bilingual classified staff, including popular educators, professional development for high school teachers on how to interact with parents, how to involve them in meaningful ways, and also allowing the community to identify what it needs, especially in terms of workshops, for example, that the district might want to provide. The community knows what it needs, so listen to them. At a recent LCAP stakeholders meeting in Sacramento, identified as model practices included high-level district staff and attending community meetings, engaging with parents and with students, and districts who become capacity builders for parents. This is a real challenge. I recognize that. But it's one that we have to meet, particularly, as I said, in the Crawford and Hoover clusters with its special situations, special dynamics. If we don't meet that, I think that we might see even more movement away from the school district to charter schools.
Francine Maxwell.
Francine Maxwell. It's interesting to see highly regarded neighborhoods when we don't do the fundamental show respect to neighborhoods. It's a simple thing. So we're adding highly regarded, and that cracks me up today. Parents feel disrespected. If it wasn't for parents having children, you wouldn't have a job. So if we showed parents respect at the onset, a lot of things would change. I think that honesty is challenging to this district. We have a lot of people that are supposed to represent the superintendent, and they're coming out to the community, and they're not truth tellers. So if you don't tell the truth, the relationship is shattered from the beginning. If you tell the truth, we have to deal with it, and we can all roll our sleeves up and get to work. I listened to a 25% survey. I'd love for you guys to ask the question, break that survey down, because I just called 25 parents and I text them and they text me back, survey what? They didn't get the survey. So I'd like you to look at your 25% and find out which community north of 8, they filled out most of the surveys. I called my girlfriends in Kearney district, they did not get the survey. I know Morris and Lincoln, when we send out anything to those different clusters, very low percentage. So for the district to be taunting and being excited about a 25%, break it down and tell me how many clusters in District E took the survey. Let's break it down, north of 8, everything else, okay? Family and community engagement. People lived there before the school was built, so you have to engage with them. That's their community. People drive in to make money. If they make money, we're excited. And if they want to be there, that's even great. But if they don't want to be there, they need to go. The school district needs to have a conversation about a waiver. If you don't think you can teach and manage our geniuses, then you need to ask for a waiver so that you can be exited and we can get some other master teacher professionals that can manage and teach some children in District E, because they're all geniuses. Not everybody can handle a genius. I know that. But we want to get excited for 2017, 2018.
Barbara. Barbara Flannery.
Hi. I've been following the parent engagement in this district for many years now. After this year, it appears as though parent engagement is getting farther away from the true parent-school partnership than ever before. Additionally, by moving Race and Human Relations, renamed, Restorative Practices, Tutoring, Equity Coalition, Special Education Liaisons, Youth and Family Advocacy, Children and Youth in Transition, into this department, it appears as if the work of true authentic parent engagement is an afterthought. This is not what I signed off on when I was supporting the makeup of this department last year. I'm not seeing parents as part of the design process for this department as was promised. Parent information, fancy celebrations of the department but not the partners is not a parent and community partnership. I'm disappointed in parent engagement as envisioned by the district. We saw the lack of parent partnership most clearly at the board meeting where the principal selection by the community was not the result of a strong collaboration with the Lincoln Cluster community. Thank you.
Hamda. Okay. Femo Musa.
Hello, my name is Fama Musa, and I have a son that goes to Marshall Elementary School. When I was in high school, my mom never came to my school to talk about anything because she was never called for anything. She wasn't engaged because even if she was called, she just goes and then just sits there. She didn't understand what was going on, which is part of the reason why I joined the PSRO, because I want to be there for my son. I want to be engaged in his education. Parent education is very crucial to a child's education because one person can't do it, just the school, they can't do it. They have to work together through the parents, the school, and the district. That's the only way that children can succeed. And one of the main reasons that I'm part of the PSRO is to work on the communications between the district, the school, and the students and the parents. That's the only way that when people talk about that it takes a village to raise a child, that's the thing that we need to bring with the district and the school and the parent in order for the child to succeed and to learn and to go to higher places. And that's what I want to be for my child. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Musa. Miriam Ali. She's left the building. Bill Oswald.
Mostly I want to say what the last three people just said, what they said. One of my favorite quotes is a Nelson Mandela quote, "Where you stand depends on where you sit." And what we, PSRO, and our partners in the Hoover Cluster really want to have a partnership with the district. That we believe that the parents see the children in a way no one else does. And I don't know how you can educate a child if you don't engage the parents in that education, particularly in the communities we're talking about where they are so culturally and linguistically different. And so while we appreciate the efforts that FACE has made in engaging parents, but the continual frustration is there's a limit to what they can do. These communities, again, we're speaking for the Crawford and the Hoover clusters, if the district does not develop a new way to engage these families in conversation, it's one, disrespecting them, and they feel very disrespected, and it makes it impossible to develop any trust with the district. Again, the experience is we come to the district, we want to talk to you. If you agree, we have a conversation. If you don't, the doors close. I'd like to point out food services. Nobody's talked about food services here, but the folks in Crawford and Hoover cluster don't believe it's part of the school district. Part of that is the relationship these communities have with food service. Gary Patel comes to the food justice meeting, comes and has conversations with the parents. When they wanted something, he was able to come and explain to them what they could do and what they couldn't do. And rather than going back and pounding the food district for food services for things they couldn't get, they entered a dialogue and how can they achieve what they want given what the district is able to do. We see that as a model. That's all we want. We want to have an authentic conversation where the cards are on the table. We don't want to get policies to react to. We want to help define those policies. Because again, these communities know the issue of trade-off better than anybody else I know. If you live in City Heights and you live in Southeast, you live in that community, you know if I do A, I can't do B. You're experts in trade-off. And so we're asking the district to engage us in the dialogue and understanding we make trade-offs and listen to the parents.
Thank you. Dan Namanga.
Thank you. My name is Adan Mangas. I just want to affirm our support for FACE program, and then at the same time, I want to ask the district to please do work on your communication in terms of, if you go down to the ground now, you ask the principal or the teachers or the parents what is FACE, they'll tell you they don't know what it is. And that's disturbing given that it's supposed to be supporting parents' engagement. And I'd like to congratulate Stan for coming in a time when in our country we are in our lowest in terms of communication, but standing up for their families and bringing them together in order to achieve education for their kids. But at the same time, I want to, as we build on communication, let's have the different departments within the district to be able to communicate to each other. Because what FACE is trying to do, the answer tied on the other side. Because if you're talking about community engagement, and our community is different from other communities, and we need translations to be provided. And if FACE cannot provide that, then what's the translation department doing with FACE in order to affect whatever support they need? And also, I would like to also to kindly, I don't know which department to direct this to, but stop removing our children from the classrooms to come out and translate for the parents during the school days. I'm going to repeat. You remove our children from the classroom to come translate because the school site does not have a translator in that language. 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes. When they go back, the teacher will not repeat what they taught, and this kid lose something in that classroom. So stop removing our children. We want a conversation now to address that, and everybody already knows, but it's keep on going, but I don't know who to address it to. Whoever is listening, stop removing our kids from the classroom.
We're listening right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Amy Redding.
Reading Kearney Neighborhood Schools. Our neighborhood schools need to be included in the Prop 39 process much earlier. No one that negotiates for space is on the side of the neighborhood school as district staff, including the principal, reports to the superintendent, and the district mantra is, they are all San Diego Unified students. Charters have devoted representation, why not neighborhood schools? 2, intra-cluster busing for 4 of the 5 feeder schools into Montgomery. Parents have said they will come if there's busing. 3, a couple of items that are kind of more directed at me as the chair for growing next year, like community engagement and developing partnerships. I could use district assistance in developing partnerships, and I would love to assist the FACE department with a plan to implement parent involvement using proven strategies with some Kearney tweaks. And I see that you're training principals on family engagement. I have lots of real on-the-ground experience with principals, and I would love to help you offer you my wisdom on that. Also, working with Carly Robinson has been amazing this year. She jumps in and follows through. She has engaged many parents and leaders in my cluster and has forged good relationships. She gets the needs of my cluster and how to help bring back our neighborhood kids. We also need help maintaining our websites. Perhaps if we receive more site money, we could purchase help. Right now, all our site money goes to supporting students. and what Kearney thinks is working. Please continue to support neighborhood schools, including use of facilities to support parent engagement and special programs such as makerspace and art rooms. And finally, we are eternally grateful for the district work in obtaining the STEAM grant for our cluster and all the supports you've offered. It's totally a game changer for our cluster. Thank you.
Okay, board member comments or questions? Dr. Whitehurst-Payne?
Several comments, questions. First of all, the survey piece is interesting. You managed to get almost 30,000 returns. The earlier one, they only got 400 return. It's kind of, I mean, how are you managing to get so many versus why the earlier? Is that kind of weird to you to think that we've got such a different, I mean, explain to me what's going on with that?
Well, that's taken a lot of time and coordination.